Welcome everyone to CALLOUS Invitational 3 Lower Bracket Finals. This tour has gone on for over 2 months and we are so in the home stretch. It is not even funny. It is this set and then it is the Grand Finals. Now, the Grand Finals, the man waiting for these two players is Triangles, and as it happens, the losses that each of these players have taken, Asta and ABR, have been to Triangles. So he's got to feel, Triangles has to feel pretty confident from where he sits. He would have to lose to these players twice, and he's already beaten both of them. So he's in a great position. These two guys, Asta and ABR, now have to slug it out to figure out who will get the chance at a rematch to potentially win this tournament. But the loser here will be out in third place. Now granted, they've already guaranteed themselves money, so at this point we're just figuring out who gets how much. For sure, either of these guys going to walk away with some cash. There is a minimum of a 10% difference between third place and second place. The way that the tour is structured in terms of prizes this year is 50% of the prize pool to the first place finisher, and then 30 for second and 20 for third. So if you were to get third and then the other guy were to get second, it's a 10% drop off. But remember that the guy who wins this match could, in theory, go on to win the entire tournament. So this actually could be the difference between 20% and 50%, which translates to quite a bit of a real money difference. So these guys are playing for cash, and that hopefully will motivate them, and we hopefully get a great set. I don't think I need to speak too much for either guy. Asta's been around forever, has been arguably the best ADV player in SPL for the better part of a decade. ABR has been one of the most dominant new-gen players and is a 40K superstar in SPL and has looked very, very dominant up until his last round in which he went 0-2 against Triangles in this tour. So here is the game between the two. It is a best of 5 now, not a best of 3, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Metagross lead, Astamatitos on the bottom, T-Tower on the top for ABR. They both immediately switch. Some balls right out the gate for Magneton coming into Metagross there. Could have gotten instantly killed by an Earthquake, which would have made plenty of sense into the T-Tower, but Meteor Mash was the move he was hoping to come in on, and that did not work out. So Surf hit T-Tower for 86%, put ABR on the back foot right out the gate. They both have a Blissey here, so it looks like they both have a relatively defensive and conservative team. S-Toss and Sing, respectively. 55% accuracy, actually probably even a little bit less because of the paralysis chance, so basically a coin flip there, but he's got to connect. All that said, it was against another Bliss, so it isn't a big deal. She'll get out of the way with Natural Cure. Dugtrio comes in trying to trap the opposing Bliss, finds Coon. That's not going to work. Asta obligated to Surf in that position, obviously, should the Dugtrio stay in, which it does not. And we end up with Bliss on Skarm, with a second Pokemon being hit by the Thunder Wave, though the first one was the other Bliss, which doesn't matter. Wow, there's a snipe for ABR. Stays in, goes Ice Beam there, instantly kills Dugtrio as Asta tries to sneak it in and get cute. And ABR in very good position now because he's brought the double Trapper team here, both Mag and Doug, against a Skarmbliss team. He picked off the Dugtrio for free with an Ice Beam, and now when Magneton comes in for Asta, not only is it going to be trapped and killed by the Magneton for ABR, the Skarm that is for Asta, but the Claydol for ABR is waiting to remove any spikes that it maybe does get down beforehand. So this seems like a relatively favorable matchup for ABR to begin with, and as it happens with that really good Ice Beam snipe on the Dugtrio, you've got to think ABR is in great position here. One of the things that I personally was wondering a lot about prior to this set was what ABR specifically was going to do. For Asta, it was clear as day to me that he was simply going to run standard teams, that he was just going to run standard, tight, solid, boring, Skarm, Bliss, T-Tower kind of stuff. And that's what I anticipate Asta to do the whole set. I don't see any reason he should deviate from that unless he were to fall behind 0-2. And I think he should make ABR beat him. I think he should go, you know what, I'm the better ADV player. I'm just going to play the best stuff. You need to react to me. My question was going to be, how does ABR react to that? And there's two very different approaches. If ABR really truly believes that he can keep up with Asta as an ADV player, then maybe ABR should also bring standard-ish stuff and just play real games, non-cheesy games, and see what he can get done. The alternate approach to that is that if ABR feels that Asta is better or enough better than him to where ABR is not likely to beat him in a standard game, then perhaps ABR opts for a more gimmicky approach. Does he go for an Umbreon Perish Trap team? Does he bust out a mini baton pass chain? Does he bust out a Calm Mind special offense as he did earlier in the tour against M-Dragon and just try to fish for that matchup? But thus far, ABR in Game 1 is not afraid of Asta. He's bringing a standard team and just trying to go blow for blow with him. It was looking good for a while, but we have a very set up Coon here. However, ABR manages this very nicely. He gets the Dugtrio in at the right time, and he gets a Screech off here, interesting, as opposed to just straight EQ, and he's trying to finish off the Coon in that way. So he doesn't actually get to kill the Coon, it rests away the Toxic, but it still has all those boosts, and it's very dangerous on any given turn with the Sleep Talk. We see it here chunking Milo for 44% with Surf. The follow-up one is going to fail, but I really liked ABR's position in this game prior to this Coon setting up, which is now giving ABR a really hard time. Losing his T-Tower is not a big deal. It already had taken that huge 80-something% Surf earlier in the game, so it didn't have a lot of value left. But what could be the case here, and what I think probably is the case, is that Tyranitar was probably the phaser for ABR, because otherwise there is no phaser. None of these other Pokemon can learn Roar or Whirlwind, respectively. So unless ABR is ballsy enough to run without a phaser, then T-Tar was it. He does, however, finally manage to get that Coon to switch out, which is definitely a scary Pokemon for him. Coon still has plenty of PP and can come back in and be threatening later, but he did get out of the way finally for now. And Magneton for ABR is still not able to trap that Skarm, but he certainly will be later. The Skarm has very little value for Asta, even if he sneaks Solaris Spikes down. Remember, this Claydol here is able to simply Rapid Spin it away. So similar teams here, but the advantage has to be with ABR because of the Trappers, I think. The Coon is going to be Asta's best bet to win this game, and we saw it get very set up and very dangerous previously, and it very well may again. Asta there makes that switch to Scout for Explosion from Doll because Boom into Dugtrio could be a way to deal with the Coon, but ABR is all over that prediction and goes for Earthquake instead, which was smart, and he chunked the Metagross in the process, but there was a Boom trade there. The Milotic, the bulky water, goes down for ABR in exchange for the Metagross for Asta, and we now end up with Doll on Doll. Rapid Spin there just for the sake of killing PP. This could get very grindy if they both get stubborn with this. These things are never going to kill each other, and here they are staring each other down with Rapid Spins that do not even negate leftovers. Asta's going to switch it up and go Psychic, so that's going to do more than Leftovers is going to recover, but this is a very go-nowhere matchup. And now ABR decides to Psychic as well. So they are running similar, if not identical sets. We've seen Earthquake Spin and Psychic for both, which is very standard. The last move could be Refresh or Boom, most likely. We don't know which. For ABR, it's probably Boom because of the Dugtrio. For Asta, I'm not as sure. But they both do get away from that, thankfully, because if those two Claydol had just gone blow for blow, like until they hit Struggle, that would have been pretty long and boring for the purposes of viewing and narration. Not that this is the most exciting matchup. It is two stallish defensive teams against each other, especially with offensive threats like T-Tar and Metagross already down. So we have Blissies on both sides, we have Claydols on both sides. Not exactly the most aggressive Pokemon, but both these guys are not just content to sit in there and stall. They're both trying to make plays and work their way forward in this game. There's been aggressive switches for both. There's been predictions for both. They're both just trying to find that one way, whatever it may be, to break this game. Sing there for Bliss misses on Magneton. That actually could have been annoying if it were to shut off the Mag and theoretically enable Skarm to spike up, but I don't know how much ABR cares because the Claydol is still healthy. Again, even if the Skarm sets up, ABR can unset it up. But he's just got to sit in here stubbornly and Toxic over and over and over again. That's going to be 4 Sing misses in a row. Now Dugtrio comes in trying to come in on soft boil, does so successfully. Asta might have bit off a little more than he can chew. He might have stayed in here a little bit too long. Blissy's going to be dead here no matter what happens. Even if she were to soft boiled, she would die. Even if she were to ice beam and kill the Dugtrio, she would die. So the Blissey there was going to go down no matter what. And I think Asta evidently stayed in one turn too long, trying to sleep that Magneton. As such, he's going to lose his Blissey for actual nothing, because the Sing missed 5 times in a row or something like that, which I really don't sympathize with. It's a 55-45 move. It's barely better than a coin flip. Obviously, missing 5 in a row is not overly mathematically probable, but the fact remains that it is very shaky accuracy, and when you're going to run a move like Sing, you are running the risk that you're going to get a high number of misses, and indeed, that is what happens to Asta here. 5 misses in a row, and is in big trouble now, I think, because of it. Asta has only a Skarmory against a Magneton and a Claydol against 2 other Pokemon here. Asta's only hope seems to be finding a critical hit on this Blissey, which the Blissey has now gotten out of range of, and she's now content to Ice Beam. Claydol has this 1-turn window. He must find a critical hit right now, and does not. And there is Ice Beam securing the game. And Asta, with that, is going to forfeit. He's got only Skarm against a Magneton and has no chance, even if he did have Drill Peck. Hell, even if he had Hidden Power Ground, he still couldn't do it because the Skarm is paralyzed from earlier and would be defeated by the Magneton. So Game 1 goes to the underdog, ABR. Asta heavily considered the favorite to win this set. Maybe heavily is an exaggeration. I think a lot of us respect ABR and his performance. He's had a really good showing in this tour, and I don't think our jaws would be on the floor if ABR were to win, but it's very hard to bet against Asta in a best of 5, and most people think he's going to take this set even if ABR puts up a respectable performance. But in this game, it was all ABR. He's got the good matchup, and Asta, with a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes, such as getting his Dugtrio sniped early on or leaving his Blissey in a little bit too long, and against someone as strong in ADV as ABR, those mistakes can, and in this case do, get punished. Game 1 to ABR. Remember, it is a best of 5, and I will see you guys for Game 2. Rate, comment, subscribe.